Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Getting to Know Our Heavenly Family. I'm still Regis O'Neill, and I'm excited to be here with you today to talk about one of the most influential saints of many of our lifetimes, Pope St. John Paul II. Now, right off the bat, I am going to start off by apologizing to Father Peter for any Polish pronunciations that I screw up. I'm going to do my best, but I'm not a native speaker, so bless me, Father, for I have sinned. So, Pope St. John Paul II was born in Wadowice, Poland. He was born Karol Wojtyła. That was his given name. He actually came to the priesthood as a young man during World War II by attending kind of an underground seminary. The Germans had invaded Poland, and there was a very strong anti-religious push within the Nazi movement in the countries that they conquered, so they weren't allowing Polish seminaries to pop up and create new priests, but he found a way, attended an underground seminary, and was ordained. He started a theater troupe. He was a man who had a lot of varied interests, a very joyful man. After the defeat of the Nazis, he did enter into actual overt parish ministry. Unfortunately, Poland was shortly thereafter being ruled by communists. So he went from Nazis to communists. Not the greatest transition in the entire world. But as we see later, he made the most of it, certainly. He was allowed by the communist authorities to become the auxiliary bishop in 1958, I believe it was, because they thought he was a harmless intellectual. Boy, was that a mistake on their part. Shortly before John Paul II was elected Pope, John Paul I was elected Pope. But if you're my age and you don't remember this because you weren't alive, John Paul I, the Pope who was elected right before John Paul II, hold on, I gotta go let Fenway out. All right, Fenway, I know. Okay, sorry about that, had to let Fenway out, but we are back. So, John Paul I, elected right before John Paul II, only served as Pope for just over a month before he died of an apparent heart attack. So, the church obviously struck with a huge tragedy, but out of that tragedy came one of the greatest popes of the modern era. Karol Wojtyła, Cardinal Wojtyła at the time, was elected to be the first non-Italian pope in 455 years. Funnily enough, since his election, there hasn't been another Italian pope. We went from John Paul II, who was Polish, to Benedict XVI, who was German, and then finally now to Pope Francis, who is Argentinian. John Paul II's pontificate was marked with this huge outreach to a number of people. He had a ton of outreach to non-Catholics. He had a ton of outreach to young people. He started World Youth Day, really kind of kick-started the youth movement in the Catholic Church. He was a huge part of Vatican II, the Second Vatican Council, before his pontificate, and was really instrumental in implementing those reforms over the decades following that ecumenical council in the Catholic Church. And basically, we're going to pause real quick because somebody's coming in. This is what I get for trying to record a video in a working office, folks. We get interrupted here, there, and everywhere. But it's all right. We soldier on. Back to the pontificate of Pope St. John Paul II. Again, he was renowned for his compassion, his kindness, and his outreach to people outside of kind of the normal circles of Catholic life. There was actually an assassination attempt against him in 1982, and one of the most famous photos from his papacy is him sitting and praying with the man who attempted to assassinate him, forgiving him just 2 years later. An incredible man, incredible pope, incredible saint, and we still feel the impact of his papacy and his ministry years and years after his passing in 2005. So, Pope St. John Paul II, pray for us. Thank you for all you've done. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this episode of Getting to Know Our Heavenly Family. Go read some of his encyclicals. Go read some of his letters. They'll change your life. Just an incredible, incredible saint. Hope to see you right back here next week for another episode of Getting to Know Our Heavenly Family. I've been Regis O'Neill, and God bless you all.